Close your eyes for just a moment and think about this. Right now, in this very second, there's an invisible hand wrapped around your throat, squeezing just enough that you don't even notice it anymore. You've learned to breathe around it. You wake up every morning, and the first thing you do, before you even open your eyes fully, is reach for your phone. Your heart races slightly as you scroll. Someone didn't text back. Your post didn't get enough likes. Your friend is on vacation again, and you're stuck here. And just like that, within 60 seconds of consciousness, you've already handed over control of your entire day to something outside of yourself. You didn't choose it. You didn't plan it. It just happened. And the worst part? You do this every single day without even realizing it. I'm not here to judge you, because I've been there too. We've all been there. But what if I told you that the life you're living right now, the one that feels heavy and exhausting and never quite enough, isn't actually your life at all? What if you're living on autopilot, controlled by 5 invisible puppet strings that dictate your mood, your decisions, your relationships, and your sense of self-worth? Mary Ainsworth, the brilliant psychologist who revolutionized our understanding of human attachment, spent her life studying how early patterns shape our behavior. And what she discovered wasn't just about childhood. It was about how we unconsciously give away our power day after day, year after year, until we wake up one day and don't even recognize ourselves anymore. So before we go any further, if this is already resonating with you, do me a favor. Hit that like button right now, because it tells me you're ready for this conversation. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we're going to dive deep into the patterns that keep you stuck. And drop a comment telling me which of these 5 things you struggle with most, because I read every single one, and your honesty helps more people than you know. Now let's talk about the first thing that's controlling your life without your permission. Other people's opinions. And I don't mean you occasionally care what someone thinks. I mean you are hemorrhaging your life force, trying to manage, predict, and control what exists only in someone else's mind. You say yes when everything inside you is screaming no. You stay quiet when you should speak. You dim your light because someone else might feel uncomfortable in your shine. You choose your clothes, your career, your relationships, sometimes even your entire personality, based on an imagined audience that's probably not even paying attention. Mary Ainsworth's attachment research showed us something profound. Children who grew up constantly seeking approval from inconsistent caregivers often become adults who are addicted to external validation. You learned early that love was conditional, that acceptance had to be earned, that who you naturally were wasn't quite enough, so you adapted. You became a chameleon, and now, decades later, you're so good at reading rooms and adjusting yourself that you've forgotten what you actually think, feel, and want. Here's the brutal truth. Most people are too worried about their own lives to spend much time judging yours, and the ones who do judge, they're usually projecting their own fears and limitations onto you. When you make decisions based on what others might think, you're building your life on quicksand. Because opinions shift, trends change. What's celebrated today is criticized tomorrow. You cannot build a stable sense of self on such unstable ground. I want you to try something radical. For the next 24 hours, before you make any decision, ask yourself this question. Am I doing this because I genuinely want to, or because I'm afraid of what someone might think if I don't? Notice how many times you're about to act out of fear rather than authentic desire. That awareness alone will shift something in you. You don't have to change everything overnight, but you do need to start noticing where you've been giving your power away. The second thing secretly controlling your life is your past. Not your actual past, but the story you keep telling yourself about it. The narrative you've constructed that says you're broken because of what happened back then. You're limited because of where you came from. You're unworthy because of what you did or didn't do. Listen, I'm not minimizing your pain. Real things happened. You experienced genuine hurt, betrayal, loss, trauma. But there comes a point where you have to ask yourself an uncomfortable question. Am I healing from my past, or am I using it as an excuse to stay small? Ainsworth's work on attachment patterns revealed that our early experiences create templates for how we relate to the world. If you experienced anxious attachment, you might cling and panic when people pull away. If you developed avoidant attachment, you might push people away before they can hurt you. These patterns are real and they're powerful, but here's what's also true. Awareness breaks the cycle. You are not doomed to repeat the patterns forever. Your past influenced you, absolutely, but it doesn't have to imprison you. The story you tell about your past determines your present reality. Two people can go through nearly identical experiences and emerge completely differently. One becomes bitter, blaming, stuck. The other becomes wise, compassionate, free. The difference isn't what happened to them. It's the meaning they assigned to what happened. It's the story they chose to tell. Every single day, you're either reinforcing the old story or writing a new one. When you say things like, I'm just not good at relationships because of my childhood, or I can't trust people because I was hurt before, you're not stating facts. You're choosing a narrative. And that narrative becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your brain looks for evidence to support the story you're telling, and guess what? It finds it every single time. What if you told a different story? Not one that denies what happened, but one that acknowledges your resilience, your growth, your capacity to learn and change. What if your past wasn't a prison but a classroom? What if every painful experience was actually equipping you with empathy, strength, and wisdom you wouldn't have otherwise? I'm not asking you to be grateful for abuse or trauma. I'm asking you to stop letting those experiences define the limits of what's possible for you now. And if you're still with me, if this is challenging something in you, that's exactly where transformation begins. Show me you're engaged by smashing that like button. Leave a comment sharing one way your past has made you stronger, not weaker. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? This is where we do the real work together. The third thing controlling your life is the illusion of perfection. You've been sold a lie that there's a right way to do life. A perfect body, a perfect career, a perfect relationship, a perfect home. And you're exhausting yourself chasing an impossible standard that doesn't even exist. Social media has amplified this to an unbearable degree. You're comparing your behind-the-scenes chaos to everyone else's highlight reel. You're measuring your messy reality against carefully curated fiction. And you're losing every single time. Perfectionism isn't about high standards. It's about fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of being seen as less than. It's the voice that says if you can't do it perfectly, don't do it at all. So you don't start the business, you don't share your art, you don't have the difficult conversation, you don't take the risk. And your life gets smaller and smaller, all in the name of avoiding criticism or failure. Ainsworth understood that secure attachment comes from good enough parenting, not perfect parenting. Children don't need flawless caregivers. They need consistent, responsive, authentic ones. They need adults who mess up and repair, who have bad days and show up anyway, who model that being human means being imperfect. And that's not only okay, it's beautiful. The same is true for you. You don't need to be perfect to be worthy. You don't need to have it all figured out to start. You don't need to wait until you're ready, because you'll never feel completely ready. Done is better than perfect. Messy action beats perfect inaction every single time. The people who actually change their lives aren't the ones who wait for perfect conditions. They're the ones who start before they're ready and figure it out along the way. What would you do today if you released the need to do it perfectly? What would you try if you knew failure was just feedback, not a referendum on your worth? What risks would you take if you truly believed that your value isn't determined by your productivity or your perfection? These aren't rhetorical questions. Actually answer them, write them down, because your answers contain the roadmap to a freer, fuller life. The fourth thing controlling your life, and this one's sneaky, is your comfort zone. You've built a life that feels safe, predictable, manageable. You know what to expect. You know how to navigate it. And yes, it might be unfulfilling, limiting, or even quietly painful, but at least it's familiar. And your brain loves familiar. Your nervous system craves predictable. Even if predictable means staying stuck, here's what happens. You start to believe that who you are right now is who you'll always be. Your current circumstances feel permanent. Your limitations feel fixed. You say things like, I'm just not a confident person, or I'm naturally anxious, or I've never been good at that. And every time you say these things, you reinforce the walls of your comfort zone. You make the cage smaller. But human beings are not static. You are not a fixed entity. You are constantly changing, growing, adapting. Every experience you have literally rewires your brain. Neuroplasticity means you can develop new patterns, new responses, new capabilities at any age. But you have to be willing to feel uncomfortable. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. If you want a different life, you have to become a different person. And becoming different feels strange, awkward, scary at first. Ainsworth's research showed that children with secure attachment had a safe base from which to explore. They could venture into the unknown because they knew they had somewhere safe to return to. As adults, you need to become that safe base for yourself. You need to build enough internal security that you can take risks, try new things, and fail without falling apart. You need to learn to comfort yourself through discomfort instead of avoiding anything that makes you uneasy. Every single thing you want is on the other side of fear. The relationship, the career, the confidence, the peace. It's all waiting for you just beyond the edge of your comfort zone. But you have to be willing to walk through the discomfort to get there. You have to choose courage over comfort, again and again and again, not once, not as a grand gesture, but in small daily decisions that add up to a completely transformed life. What's one thing you've been avoiding because it feels too uncomfortable? What's one conversation, one application, one boundary, one change you know you need to make but keep putting off? That thing, that's your growing edge. That's where your next level is waiting. The fifth and final thing controlling your life is the belief that you're not enough. Not smart enough, not attractive enough, not talented enough, not worthy enough. This is the root belief underneath all the others. This is why you seek external validation, why you can't let go of the past, why you chase perfection, why you stay comfortable. Because somewhere deep down, you don't believe you're inherently valuable just as you are. And listen, this belief didn't come from nowhere. Maybe you had parents who withheld approval. Maybe you were bullied or rejected. Maybe you internalized messages from a culture that profits from your insecurity. Whatever the origin, this belief is now running your life from the shadows. It's the lens through which you interpret everything. Someone doesn't text back and it confirms you're not enough. You make a mistake and it proves you're not enough. Someone else succeeds and it highlights that you're not enough. But here's the truth that will set you free if you let it. Your worth is not earned. It's inherent. You don't have value because of what you do, what you achieve, what you look like, or who loves you. You have value because you exist. You are enough because you are here. Period. Full stop. No conditions. Mary Ainsworth dedicated her career to understanding how we learn to see ourselves through the eyes of our caregivers. If those eyes reflected love, safety, and acceptance, we internalize that we're worthy. If those eyes were critical, absent, or conditional, we internalize that we're not. But the beautiful, powerful truth is this: You can reparent yourself. You can become the source of the acceptance you've been seeking. You can look at yourself with compassion and say, you are enough, exactly as you are, right now. This doesn't mean you stop growing or striving. It means you do those things from a place of wholeness, not lack. You pursue goals because they excite you, not because you're trying to prove your worth. You improve because you're curious, not because you're broken. You create from overflow, not from emptiness. So here's my challenge to you, and I want you to really engage with this. I want you to comment below right now and finish this sentence. I am enough because. Not because of anything external. Just, I am enough because I am. Because I'm here. Because I matter. Write it down. Say it out loud. Let it sink into places that have been starved for that message. If this video has shifted something in you, if you're seeing the invisible strings more clearly now, hit that like button one more time. Subscribe so we can keep doing this work together, and share this with someone who needs to hear it, because freedom is contagious. Look, I know this hasn't been an easy conversation. I've asked you to look at some uncomfortable truths. But awareness is the first step to freedom. You cannot change patterns you don't see. You cannot release control you don't realize you've given away. Now you see it. Now you know. Other people's opinions, your past story, the perfection trap, your comfort zone, and the belief that you're not enough. These 5 things have been quietly running your life, but not anymore. Because now you're awake to them. Now you have a choice. You can keep living on autopilot, letting these invisible forces dictate your days, or you can start today, right now, to take your power back. It won't happen overnight. You won't wake up tomorrow suddenly free from all these patterns, but you will start to notice when they're operating. You'll catch yourself seeking approval and choose authenticity instead. You'll hear the old story and consciously write a new one. You'll feel the pull toward perfection and choose messy action. You'll sense the comfort zone calling and step beyond it anyway. You'll encounter the not enough voice and meet it with radical self-acceptance. Little by little, choice by choice, you'll reclaim your life. You'll remember who you are underneath all the conditioning. You'll discover that you're more capable, more resilient, more powerful than you ever imagined. Because you are, you always have been, you just forgot for a while. Mary Ainsworth taught us that our early attachments shape us, but they don't have to define us forever. You can earn secure attachment. You can heal anxious patterns. You can soften avoidant tendencies. You can break cycles. You can rewrite your story. You can become the person you were always meant to be before the world told you who to be. Your life is yours, not your parents', not your partner's, not society's, not your past's. Yours, and it's time you started living it that way. With intention, with courage, with the bone-deep knowing that you are already enough and everything else is just details. So take a deep breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice that you're here, alive, capable of change. This moment right now is the beginning of something different if you choose it to be. The puppet strings are visible now, and visible strings can be cut. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this work. Thank you for having the courage to look at what most people spend their whole lives avoiding. You're not most people. You're someone who's ready to be free, and that changes everything. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, remember, you are enough. You always have been. Now go live like you believe it.